My older sister said, "You're the reason Mom and Dad split up. They argued about you in therapy." I told her, "I know. But what I did to bring them back together made her realize she was the problem." I'm 26, male, and I sat there in that overpriced therapist's office watching my sister, Natalie, 31, finally reveal her trump card. For 5 years, she'd been clutching this secret, waiting for the perfect moment to detonate it and destroy me. She chose family therapy. "The truth is," Natalie said, her tears conveniently well-timed, "Connor's the reason our parents got divorced. They fought about him constantly, his behavior, his issues, the stress of dealing with him. He tore our family apart." Dr. Martinez turned to me, her face a mask of professional concern. Mom shifted in her seat, clearly uncomfortable. Dad stared at his hands. I locked eyes with Natalie. "I know," I said. Silence. Natalie's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. She had expected denial, rage, guilt, anything but acceptance. "You?" "No." Dr. Martinez prompted. "Connor." "Yeah. I was 17 when they split. Not deaf. I heard plenty of arguments with my name in them." Natalie recovered fast. "Then you admit it. You destroyed our family." "I admit they fought about me. There's a difference." But Natalie wasn't going to let this go. She smelled blood in the water. She'd always been the golden child, valedictorian, pre-med, engaged to a surgeon. I was the screw-up who barely graduated, worked IT support, and lived in a studio apartment. This was her chance to officially crown herself the good one. What she didn't know was that I'd spent 5 years quietly figuring out what really happened and why. Because here's the thing, our parents' divorce never made sense. They never remarried, still spent holidays together, still had Sunday dinners. Mom kept Dad as her emergency contact. Dad still wore his wedding ring on a chain. For two people who allegedly divorced over their problem child, they sure seemed friendly. The therapy session ended with Natalie feeling triumphant. She believed she'd exposed me as the family's destroyer. Mom and Dad said nothing, just exchanged unreadable glances. In the parking lot, Natalie cornered me. "Finally," she hissed. "Finally, everyone knows what you did. What I did at 17 that was so terrible our parents divorced? Don't play dumb. The arrests, the drugs, What arrests? What drugs?" She faltered. The incidents. "Name one." She couldn't, because there weren't any. I was a quiet kid who played too many video games and got B's instead of A's. My biggest rebellion was skipping prom to play World of Warcraft. But Natalie had spent years building this narrative. I was the bad seed who ruined everything. It justified why she got the college fund, the car, and the down payment for her house, why I got community college and student loans. "You're toxic," she spat. "That's why I told Marcus not to hire you." Marcus, her fiancé, ran an IT company. I'd applied 6 months ago, made it to final interviews, then heard nothing. "You sabotaged my job?" "I protected him from your influence, just like I protected Mom and Dad by suggesting therapy. They needed to process what you did to them." "What exactly did I do, Natalie?" "Exist," she said, and drove off in her Tesla. That night, I called my friend Diego, a private investigator. Time to stop wondering and start knowing. I told him. 2 weeks later, Diego called me. "Bro, you need to see this. I can't say it over the phone." We met at a coffee shop. He slid a folder across the table. "Your parents' divorce was unusual. No custody battle.
No haset disputes.
They agreed on everything immediately. Split everything 50/50ths, including debt." "What debt?" "Medical debt. Nearly $200,000. Incurred 2 years before the divorce." "Medical?" "Nobody was sick. Keep reading. Insurance claims. Hospital records. All for psychiatric care, therapy sessions, inpatient treatment, medications. None of it was for me. It was all for Natalie. She was institutionalized twice," Diego said quietly. "Attempted suicide at 15 and again at 16. Your parents' insurance maxed out. They mortgaged the house, drained their retirement accounts. Still wasn't enough." My hands shook. They divorced for strategy, Diego continued. If they split, your mom qualified for programs that covered Natalie's treatment. Your dad's income alone was too high, so they legally divorced to save your sister's life. But why blame me? Diego flipped to a therapist's note. Natalie's doctors recommended not telling you. Said she was fixated on you as the favored child. Jealous of how easy you had it. They thought knowing would damage your relationship worse. I remembered those years. Mom always stressed, Dad pacing the house, Natalie at study groups, that I now knew were therapy sessions. They let me think I was the problem to protect her. There's more, Diego said. He showed me old social media posts from Natalie under a different name. Rants about hating her perfect brother. About making everyone pay. Then posts about self-harm. About making them all sorry. My parents had destroyed their marriage to save her. And she still blamed me. That night I made a decision, not for revenge but for repair. I called Mom. I need Dad's help with something, I said. Computer stuff. Can you give me his number? She hesitated. Could you both come over? It's kind of urgent. Hours later, they were on my couch working together to fix a fictional ransomware breach. They laughed at old programming jokes, shared wine, and slowly forgot their awkwardness. By 2 a.m., they'd solved my fake crisis. We make a good team, Dad said softly. Always did, Mom replied. Natalie found out, of course. You're manipulating them, she screamed at me in my apartment. Like you manipulated Marcus into rejecting my application? Her face turned white. I know about the medical debt, Natalie. The divorce. The truth. You don't know anything. I know they sacrificed everything for you and let me think I was the problem because your doctors said it would help you. Shut up. I know about the posts. The ones where you said you hated me. Shut up, she shrieked, trembling with rage. They weren't supposed to tell you. Ever. That was the deal. They didn't tell me. I found out. She backed toward the door. You ruined everything, she whispered. No, Natalie. I just stopped letting you ruin me. That night, she sent a family-wide email accusing me of manipulation and demanded everyone cut contact until I got help. The replies weren't what she expected. Aunt Helen. Natalie, honey, we all knew why they divorced. About time someone said it out loud. Mom, we need to talk about what you've done to your brother. Weeks later, my parents began meeting up on their own again. 3 months later, Dad moved back in. They didn't remarry. Mom still needed her insurance benefits, but they were together. Natalie spiraled. Her engagement ended. She posted online about toxic families and narcissistic siblings. The Thanksgiving, she showed up drunk. You destroyed my life, she screamed at me. Your life was built on everyone else's misery. I just stopped playing along. Mom stepped between us. Enough, Natalie. Go home. You're choosing him. We're choosing honesty, Dad said. Finally, Mom whispered. Natalie left in an Uber. Haven't seen her since. Last week was my parents' would-be 35th anniversary. They renewed their vows in the backyard. I was the only witness. During the pizza reception, Mom pulled me aside. I'm sorry for letting you carry the blame, for trying to save her while losing you. You didn't lose me, Mom. I'm right here. We hugged. Dad joined us. For the first time in over a decade, it felt like a family again. Natalie texted me last month. I hope you're happy. You got everything you wanted. I replied, I wanted a sister. Still do. When you're ready to be one. She blocked me. Maybe someday she'll realize the only person she's really fighting is herself. But for now, I've got my parents back. I've got the truth. And that's enough. 3 months after that explosive Thanksgiving, life was calmer. For the first time in years, I wasn't walking around with the invisible weight of guilt strapped to my chest. My parents were together again, not legally, but emotionally. Dad had moved back into the house we grew up in. They took things slow, treating each other like old friends rediscovering a rhythm they thought they'd lost forever. It wasn't perfect, but it felt real. Natalie, on the other hand, disappeared into her carefully constructed echo chamber. Her social media was now flooded with posts about toxic family systems, setting boundaries, and choosing yourself over manipulators. She painted herself as the misunderstood victim in every interaction, telling her online audience how her abusive brother had turned her entire family against her. I didn't bother responding. She wasn't talking to me. She was talking to the version of me she'd invented to keep her ego intact. I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. But the reality is, peace sometimes requires holding firm even when your heart aches. Because as much as I hated to admit it, I missed her. Not the venomous, manipulative Natalie who showed up in my apartment that night, but the Natalie from before. Back when we were kids, before mental illness twisted her worldview and poisoned every interaction between us. Then came her fiancé Marcus, or rather her ex-fiancé. He reached out to me unexpectedly one afternoon. Connor, I know this is weird, but can we talk? We met at a coffee shop. The same one where Diego had handed me the folder that changed everything. I didn't believe you at first, Marcus admitted. Natalie said you were sabotaging her, trying to destroy her career. But then I started noticing patterns. Jobs she didn't want me to hire people for. Friends she subtly discouraged me from keeping. She lied to me too. I nodded. She's sick, but she's also smart. And she knows how to play people. I wish I'd seen it sooner. Marcus sighed. I'm sorry about the job thing. If I'd known, I never would have let her influence my decision. It's in the past, I said quietly. You dodged a bullet by walking away when you did. He nodded, but there was sadness in his eyes. I knew that look. Loving someone broken leaves scars even after you've left. 2 weeks later, I got another message from Natalie. You've poisoned everyone against me. Congratulations. You win. I stared at the screen for a long time. For a moment, I considered typing out a heartfelt response. Explaining again that I never wanted to win. I just wanted my family to heal. But then I realized it wouldn't matter. Natalie wasn't ready to hear the truth. Not from me. Not from anyone. So instead I typed, I'm still here if you ever want to talk. But not like this. She left me on read. The next family gathering was Christmas. Mom and Dad hosted together for the first time in nearly a decade. It felt surreal seeing them in the same kitchen, laughing as they burned a batch of cookies and arguing over how to arrange the table. There was a quiet joy in the air, fragile but beautiful. As we sat down to dinner, Mom raised her glass. To second chances, she said softly, her eyes glistening. To truth, Dad added. I smiled. For years I'd thought I'd been the one who destroyed this family. But the truth was, I had been the one who brought them back together. Not because I was perfect or strong or even particularly brave, but because I refused to keep playing a game where I was always cast as the villain. Natalie didn't show up for Christmas. She didn't send a text or an email, either. Part of me hoped she'd walk through the door at the last second, sober and contrite, ready to start over. But she didn't. Maybe she never will. And that's the hardest part of all of this. Accepting that sometimes, even when the truth is finally out, not everyone is willing to live in it. For now, I have my parents back. I have peace. And I have the quiet satisfaction of knowing I didn't let her narrative destroy me. But deep down, I'll always wonder if the sister I grew up with is still in there somewhere, buried beneath the bitterness and lies. Maybe one day she'll claw her way out. Maybe one day she'll come home. Until then, I'll be here, waiting,